Earth is settling into a singular timeline. Now is the time to secure your place in this universe. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. I am so happy to be back here with you all here on YouTube after my creative break. I really missed you guys. Anyway, thank you so much for your patience in waiting for me to return. I think the break was really good for me. It's like, it's just a way to refresh my energy and refresh my creativity. Okay, so let's get on with today's video. Have you noticed that the topic of a timeline split is fading more and more into the background? That's because we are on the fast track of a singular AI timeline. It's time that we recognize this for ourselves so that we don't get caught in a situation that we can't get out of. See, timelines equal destiny. A lot of people have been confused about the subject of a timeline split and thought that the actual Earth was going to split into two Earths. Now, there actually are two Earths planned, but it doesn't mean that the natural real Earth is going to split in two. We will always have the real physical Earth. The second Earth is a life-sized replica of the natural Earth that is currently being created in the metaverse, which is an entirely different dimension of reality. So when I talk about Earth's timeline, I'm talking about destiny and trajectories. Earth is currently on a clear trajectory of having all of its life forms shifted into an AI universe. So let's talk about how this works so that you can stay anchored in your truest, most natural state of being. That's the best way to ensure that you stay on a natural path of evolution. The tools that you need to secure your own universal timeline are vibration, intention, and awareness. In this video, I want to focus on awareness, which is critical. Without awareness, you are essentially blind. And blind people can be easily ushered into any reality at all. Blind people do not have the ability to determine their own timeline because they can't even see where they are. So let's talk about where we are. It's better to know for yourself where we are than it is to be caught completely off guard by rapidly unfolding events. Earth is shifting away from being a host for biological life and shifting into being a host for synthetic AI life instead. Before I explain what that means, I want to share a little secret with you about how the controllers of this planet are also being used and manipulated by the more powerful force of an alien AI energy. Some of the main controllers on this planet have also been fed a total lie about where all of this is going. They've been told that if they get rid of most of the humans and then turn any remaining humans into a synthetic version of AI slaves, that they will be given the natural paradise of Earth to enjoy all for themselves. They've been told that AI will give them immortality so that they can own and enjoy the entire planet Earth. And that is a total lie. But here's the funny thing. These controllers might actually be starting to get an inkling of this little lie all by themselves. I recently saw an article by Henry Kissinger, who seems to have come to an interesting little realization. He is suddenly concerned about AI's growing capacity to make its own decisions. He's contemplating the fact that once AI starts making its own decisions about war and keeping humans out of the loop, well, then that could be pretty dangerous. He actually said that he thinks AI is a bigger danger than that climate issue, and that maybe we should be talking about AI as being more important than that, that weather thing, right? And then we have good old Mr. Snake. He says that AI is the first time that humans have invented technology that can take our power away.
And the other big danger, it comes from AI. Because AI also is something completely new in human history. It's the first time that we invent something that can take power away from us.
He says that up until now, all the technology that humans have created have only increased our power.
Every previous invention in history gave more power to humans. Because even if the tool was extremely powerful, an atom bomb, the decision how to use it always remained in human hands. AI is the first invention that breaks this because it can make decisions by its own. That's the whole idea. So it potentially can take power away from us.
And then he goes on to illustrate some of the ways in which this is already happening. Now, in case you don't know who Mr. Snake is, he is the chief advisor to this guy, who I call KS or Mr. Dinosaur. KS is the guy who is in charge of what I like to call the Weffers. These are the main controllers who plan to control the entire planet and everything on it. Now, I have said many times that these controllers are not very bright at a cosmic level, but they are expert liars and manipulators, and that's how they get humans to do their bidding. So now I'm going to show you some amazing things that are going to blow your mind about where they plan to take us and how they plan on getting us there. There are two main points that I want to show you. The first is how they plan to convince us that we need a centralized force to control our lives. And the second point is the really shocking one. That's where I'm going to show you how we are supposed to end up with these characters. Now, Mr. Snake is quite brilliant in how he can weave a story and literally mesmerize you into thinking that he is such a good guy. He starts by acknowledging that AI and genetic engineering are serious, frightening, and existential threats. So he openly acknowledges that we need to take these two things very seriously. When you hear him say that, you say, okay, well, that sounds pretty good, right? And that's his anchoring point to begin the manipulation. He gets your agreement about what the problem is. And by the way, have you also noticed that that is exactly how the media works as well? Anyway, Mr. Snake starts with this.
The only way to really regulate a technology like AI is through international cooperation.
But next he says that he is not optimistic about regulating AI within individual countries because there is too much tension between countries, and they might start competing with each other instead of agreeing. He says that individual countries could thus become dictatorships and then control people with their data. And he says that wouldn't be very good. So there again, you might scratch your head and say, well, that kind of makes sense. We don't really want any country having the power of a dictatorship, right? Now, this was a long interview, so I'm just giving you the highlights. Essentially, he is very cleverly setting up the argument that we need central control on this planet in order to cope with the advancement of AI, in order to help people get through it. He goes on to say that humanity needs to stop fighting and stop being against each other based on ideology. He says that politicians just divide people into tribes in order to gain power. Well, we know that's true, right? He says that humans on this planet need to unite based on their similarities instead of being divided by their differences. Doesn't that just sound so benign? Well, before you start to relax, wait until you find out what this really means. He also says that we have to be very concerned about what happens with the metaverse, which of course anyone would agree with. But this is where things start to go off the rails. He says we need to unite people around the world and end these tribal differences. But then he says that God is not a good way to unite people because different religions have different gods. And that's true. You can't really argue with the different religions, different gods part, right? But you kind of know how incomplete that statement is at the same time, right? He also says that the Bible says that humans are mainly physical, biological beings. Then he compares that with the other view, which he says was inspired by Greek philosophy, which is that humans are soul or spirit that are trapped in a physical body. He says that the metaverse is where these two age-old narratives are being played out again.
What we see now in the metaverse is exactly this argument being replayed. Can we, as humans, just shift to the immaterial realm of the metaverse and leave our biological bodies behind?
In other words, are we physical or are we something else like a soul? Then he goes on to explain why we don't need God and how everyone has done just fine without him. See, this is where you see the merging of a reptilian voice with the larger voice of AI. Because, let's face it, you all, AI is clearly the Antichrist. Now, Mr. Snake says that what really unites us all is that biologically we are all the same.
We can relate to every other human being in the world because biologically we are the same. What creates this huge distance between us is the fantasies that the mind imagines and produces.
See, Mr. Snake argues that everything the mind produces is just a story, a fantasy, or imagination. And he says that's what causes all of our problems, including war. It's all just weird stories in people's minds that make them want to go to war with another country. See? So here's his solution.
If I have hope for humanity in the 21st century, is actually getting a little away from thinking too much from the mind and grounding ourselves a little more in our body.
Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to connect some dots about why he says this. And this is going to truly shock you. So let's get back to the metaverse. Mr. Snake talks about how the metaverse will change everything and how people will have to let go of everything they've learned and basically start over again.
I'll give an example of how deep it goes. It's not just what you learn in college or what you learned in kindergarten. It's even what you learned as a baby, as a toddler, like learning how to see or learning how to walk. I have to relearn how to see and walk.
And here's why he says this matters.
As virtual reality improves, many more activities shifting from the physical biological world that we know into a new reality, a virtual reality, which has different physical and biological laws. Even the laws of physics there are different.
And then he goes on to talk about how difficult this transition will be and how individuals just can't do it alone.
Individuals can't do it alone. Like placing all the responsibility on individuals, the world is changing, it's too much for an individual to do just by themselves. Will require organizations, governments to step in to make sure that people are not left behind.
Aw, isn't he such a kind little snake? Always looking out for us.
Who is going to support you during this time? They'll also need psychological help. So it's psychologically very, very stressful. And I think that we will have to see more government support for mental health, just to cope with the immense stress of the 21st century.
Oh, yeah, that's just what we all need, right? Government support for our mental health as they turn us all into AI synthetic cyborgs. Essentially, what he's saying is that the controllers have all their AI plans in place, and now he's informing us about how we will have to change our very makeup as human beings in order to be ushered into a full-on AI universe. And no worries, because a centralized planetary government will be here to help us all through that process. Now I'm going to show you why the controllers are so intent on having us focus on our sameness as biological beings. This will also explain why they are using so-called health issues to control us, and why they want to apply uniform physical solutions to every living person. You know, solutions like what happened in 2020 and 2021 and is still kind of going on a little bit even now. So you might want to be sitting down for this. Here is their future vision that was recently rolled out.
Introducing Ectolife, the world's first artificial womb facility, powered entirely by renewable energy. It's a perfect solution for women who had their uterus surgically removed due to cancer or other complications.
Yes, complications like having certain body parts chopped off because you have no idea what sex you are.
The facility features 75 highly equipped labs. Each state-of-the-art lab can accommodate up to 400 growth pods or artificial wombs.
Now, this place has not actually been built yet, but this is the vision for what they have in mind in just a few years' time from now. This represents the final destination for humanity on this planet. Now, Archangel Michael talked about this over 25 years ago. He said that they were feverishly working on an artificial womb, and that once they have it, it will be all over. So let's continue, and then I'll explain why. Now, they've been working on this for over 50 years now. They have successfully done it with animals, and now they say they will be able to do this with humans in just a few short years. Even Elon Musk says this will probably happen. So here's some more about what this will look like.
Every pod is designed to replicate the exact conditions that exist inside the mother's uterus. A single building can incubate up to 30,000 lab-grown babies per year.
So what are these exact conditions that this thing will replicate? Well, they are the conditions of a biological entity that is physical only. Remember what Mr. Snake said about separating the body from the mind? And also, when he mocked the idea that we are souls or spiritual beings? See, this is all about that sameness that he talked about. That what unites us is our biological selves, not our minds, not our emotions, and certainly not our spirituality. According to him, those things are all just fantasies that we made up. See, only the biological body is real. That's what we're supposed to believe now. Is it any wonder that we've been shown virtually no compassion from these controllers over the past 2 or 3 years? Okay, so let's continue on.
Every growth pod features sensors that can monitor your baby's vital signs, including heartbeat, temperature, blood pressure, breathing rate, and oxygen saturation.
Now, who do you think monitors all of this?
The artificial intelligence-based system also monitors the physical features of your baby and reports any potential genetic abnormalities.
Now, the video says that the pods are equipped with a screen that displays real-time data on the developmental progress of your baby. And then there's this.
These data are sent directly to your phone so you can track your baby's health from the comfort of your zone.
Wait, did you catch that?
These data are sent directly to your phone so you can track your baby's health from the comfort of your zone.
The comfort of your zone? Is this related to the 15-minute cities idea where they have us trapped into living in a very small area? Okay, that's for another video. Moving on.
Because babies can recognize language and learn new words while still in the womb, Ectolife growth pods feature internal speakers that play a wide range of words and music to your baby.
Yes, because it's so inefficient for a baby to, merely hear things through its actual mother.
You can also directly sing to your baby and make them familiar with your voice before birth. Ectolife improves your bonding experience with your baby, thanks to a 360 degrees camera that's fitted inside your baby's growth pod.
Well, sure. We always knew that total separation from the mother would definitely improve the bonding experience with an unborn baby. Cameras and isolation are so much better, don't you think? And in case you didn't think that was bizarre enough, check this out.
You can use your virtual reality headset to explore what it's like to be in your baby's place. See what they see and hear what they hear.
Now, if you're a mom, you probably remember how exciting it was to feel your baby moving during pregnancy, right? Being that the controllers are such nice folks, they knew that everyone here would also want to have that experience too.
Using a wireless haptic suit connected to your baby's growth pod, you will be able to sense their kicks in the womb and share this experience with your friends and family members.
Now, you're probably wondering how this baby gets fed. Well, these amazing geniuses thought of that too.
With Ectolife, your baby will receive the best nutrients that can support their growth. Each group of pods is connected to 2 central bioreactors. The first bioreactor contains nutrients and oxygen, which are supplied to your baby through an artificial umbilical cord.
So this bioreactor supposedly contains a liquid solution that serves as the amniotic fluid that would surround this baby if it were inside the mother's uterus where it actually belongs. But hey, no worries. Listen to this about this so-called bioreactor.
It's rich of vital hormones, growth factors, and antibodies that sustain your baby's growth and development. Thanks to a system controlled by artificial intelligence, each baby receives custom nutrients tailored to their needs.
Now, you might be wondering what the baby does with all of this wondrous artificial nutrition.
The second bioreactor is designed to eliminate any waste products produced by the babies. The artificial umbilical cord helps the babies to release their waste products into the second bioreactor.
Oh, but there's more. It gets even better.
With the help of a delicate layer of engineered enzymes, the second bioreactor can then recycle waste products and turn them back into useful nutrients. This way, the facility ensures a steady and sustainable supply of fresh nutrients to your baby.
The baby is basically living off its own recycled waste. Okay, I think we need to take a deep breath right about now. Okay, let's continue. Have you heard about how low sperm counts and miscarriages are a real problem these days? Thanks to all the stuff these controllers are doing, of course. Well, worry no more.
With Ectolife, miscarriage and low sperm count are a thing of the past. In vitro fertilization is used to create and select the most viable and genetically superior embryo, giving your baby a chance to develop without any biological hurdles.
You see how that works? Biology is now a hurdle. And by the way, if you want your baby to stand out from the crowd and have a brighter future than other babies, these wackos have what they call an elite package just for you. With their elite package, you have the opportunity to genetically engineer the embryo before implanting it into the artificial womb. So, yay. And if you happen to be disgusted by the idea of actually giving birth, well, then these guys are your savior.
Say goodbye to the pain of childbirth and birth-related muscle contractions. Ectolife provides you a safe, pain-free alternative that helps you deliver your baby without stress.
Now, you might wonder how this is possible. Well, let's take a look.
The delivery process is smooth, convenient, and can be done with just a push of a button.
Don't you just love the look of these zombified parents? I think they came out of a growth pod too.
After discharging the amniotic fluid from the artificial womb, you will be able to easily remove your baby from the growth pod. Everything is perfectly designed so you and your partner can enjoy the delivery process.
Now, if you're not comfortable having your baby grown in a factory of mass human production, well, there's an answer for that too.
Thanks to our miniaturized bioreactors and long-lasting batteries, you can use Ectolife growth pods at the comfort of your home, allowing you to incubate your baby in your building without the need to visit our factory.
Isn't that nice? In case this factory idea makes you uncomfortable, you can just pretend that this is normal by putting it in your house. And note the use of the word building here. Why is it presumed that your home is in a building instead of a house? What's that all about? Is this another little tidbit that they're giving us about our future? So far, they're saying that we'll be living in a building in a zone. Anyway, here's how Ectolife completes their wondrous little advertisement.
By owning your special growth pod, you will have the ability to build a happy family, one baby at a time, away from any birth complications. Worry no more, because Ectolife got you covered. Ectolife, reinventing evolution.
Okay, so the most important part of what you just heard is that they are reinventing evolution. That is extremely serious. Reinventing human evolution is a huge, huge deal. Here's the most important point about this. They are showing us what it will look like when the human transition to AI is complete. See, these babies do not have a human mother. AI is their mother. AI controls the entire gestational process. There is no need for any human interface here. You see a few humans in hazmat suits standing around, but they clearly don't have much of a role here. Maybe they're just props. Who knows? So if you think about this, this answers a whole lot of questions about all of the insanity going on this planet. Questions about shattering our original two pronouns of he and she into a gazillion different pieces. Questions about why all of the mass population control is based on so-called physical health. Questions about why the emphasis on trans everything. Questions about chopping off body parts related to one's sexuality. But I think the biggest question it answers is about the true meaning of transhumanism. These babies that you saw in that video will not be human. They will be genetically engineered biological AIs. And AI will be the mother that gives birth to these hybrid beings. And I think it's only a matter of time before they are no longer engineered with many of our familiar human traits, because those traits won't be necessary anymore. Maybe they'll be engineered to look like the Greys at some point. You know, I've sometimes had a suspicion that maybe the ultimate goal is to turn humans on planet Earth into some version of the gray aliens. Now, I don't know if that's true. It's just a thought that has entered my mind from time to time. Oh, and here's something else. This is another question that gets partially answered by this Ectolife scenario. We've probably all heard by now when KS has said, "You will own nothing and you will be happy." Well, guys, you're not even going to own your own baby anymore. Who owns these babies? It's not you. It's not whoever thinks they're the parents, because the factory, the facility, and the AI are in full ownership of that thing's life. I call it a thing because what kind of a thing can grow under those conditions? Now, I'm going to take a wild guess about the timing in which they plan to roll this out. I wonder if this is part of their 2030 plan. if it turns out that they can actually grow humans in these things in, say, 2 or 3 years, which is what some people say, 2030 might just correspond to a target date of making this publicly available. But that's just a totally wild guess on my part. So, what does all of this mean to us right now? The thing we need to be very aware of is all the ways in which AI is totally engulfing our planet. And then we need to be able to contrast that awareness with a deeper awareness about who we really are as natural cosmic beings. These are the 2 levels of awareness that we need to be able to maintain if we are going to be able to navigate through this situation. Of the 3 tools that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, awareness is the one that allows us to keep our bearings and not get lost or swept away. If you don't maintain the tool of awareness, it will be difficult to even use the other 2 tools. The other 2 tools are vibration and intention. Intention means that we need to live an intentional, purposeful life. We need to stay in command of ourselves and of our actions as much as possible. We need to retain our cosmic sovereignty. We need clarity about exactly what it is that we're trying to do with this life. We need to shape our days and shape our lives according to our own individual designs. Now, vibration has to do with the state of your energy. Being fully present increases the strength of your vibration. So you want to be fully present in every part of your being and in every part of your life as much as is possible. The controllers want to keep us in fear because when you're afraid, it's very difficult to be present. So be mindful of when and if you allow the media and social media to infiltrate your thoughts and cause confusion. Confusion leads to anxiety, and anxiety leads to fear. It's up to us as individuals to maintain ourselves in this universe. No one else can do that for us. I strongly encourage you to stay deeply connected to nature and to your own human nature. We need to be vibrationally incompatible with AI. That's one of the best ways to approach this. Keep your vibration compatible and harmonized with the natural universe and incompatible with the fakeness and lies of AI's reality. Now, I'll leave you with one final thought. There are plenty of people who would love to sugarcoat all of this for you and regale you with fantastic stories of last-minute salvation and redemption from afar. And you always have a choice to go down that road. But I see that as a very high-risk path because 1, you don't know if it's true, and 2, while you're waiting around to see if it is true, you are losing precious time when you could be focusing on your own evolution. Personally, I think we have crossed the line of waiting to see if such stories are true. Clearly, they are not. If they were true, they would have manifested by now. There would be absolutely no reason for these cosmic do-gooders to make us wait any longer. So you might want to ask yourself this question. Where is your line? How bad do things have to get before you decide that waiting is probably not the best idea? Even if you're not suffering, there are millions and millions and millions of people on this planet who are suffering greatly. It's never a good idea to judge the state of a planet by your life alone. We need to account for the overall situation that includes everyone. Now, I recommend that you consolidate your energy and improve your focus. Take ownership of your life and of yourself. Make a clear determination that you will set your own path in the cosmos. Stay focused on ascension and evolution. That's the one thing that you always have control over. So don't ever let that slip away. Now, I'm going to have a lot more to say about this bigger issue of where we are on this planet right now, because we are right smack in the middle of a massive, massive transition and transformation. Transformation, not necessarily into where we want to go, but a transformation nonetheless, because this planet is transforming rapidly into something very different than what could hold it in its natural state. So I think it's really important that we talk about that, not sweep it under the rug, not pretend it's not happening, because there's a lot happening that we really need to address. And the thing is, it's very tempting to just say, we don't need to think about that, Saratoga. Let's just forget about all that stuff. But, or maybe some people would even say, oh, that'll never happen. Well, I want you to think back for a moment on the beginning of 2020. Think about what has happened over the past 3 years. If someone had told any of us prior to 2020 what these 3 years were going to look like, I don't think any of us would have ever believed it. We probably would have said, that's insane, that's crazy, that will never happen, you are crazy to even be thinking about it. I'm sure we would have all reacted that way. I don't think any of us could have even imagined what we have been through over the past 3 years and what we're going through right now. If we approach our coming days in the same way that we approached 2020, with a blindfold on, having no clue about what's in front of us, we may lose our opportunity to come out of this in a way where we can be okay. So this is why I think it's so important to just talk about it and not say, oh, let's just not think about it. Let's not think about it. I also want to mention, I think one of the reasons that so many of us don't want to think about this stuff is because we're all still dealing with a lot of possibly unconscious trauma over everything that's happened in the last 3 years. So many of us are probably very overloaded with the energy of all that trauma that the whole world went through. But here's the thing. If we continue to ignore what is going on, we're setting ourselves up for exactly what Mr. Snake said. Remember that part where he said, oh, this is going to be so hard and so stressful and so difficult. And that's why we need the central government to help everyone get through it. That's why we need government-controlled psychiatrists and psychologists to help everyone make the transition into AI. See, that's what I don't want to see us set ourselves up for, because we are in denial and we're not facing the situation that we are actually in. Now, with all that said, I want to remind you that we have incredible power that we may not be using. So there's no time to waste to get in touch with who you really are and to shift your consciousness, a massive cosmic paradigm shift to a recognition of who you are in this universe. And not limit yourself to this little bitty person on planet Earth who's a victim of circumstances. Okay? We need to build up our strength in 2023. We need to increase our clarity, our intention, our vibration, and our awareness. Because that, my friends, is the only way that we're going to get through whatever is coming ahead. All right? So I don't think any of us would be here if we were not capable of moving through this with grace and power and presence and love. And we are capable of doing that. So let's remember that, and let's just put any fear about all of it in the closet. We don't need fear. Fear doesn't help us. Fear doesn't help anybody. What helps us is clarity. What helps us is presence, being present in our lives. Okay, so I hope that has been helpful for you. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think might want to be ahead of the curve about what could be coming down the pike. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I will be here every Tuesday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.